So, today we will see how to make a game like the old Commando series. Now, most of you will not know about the series, probably. So, go take a look at some videos or some gameplays about that video game. Okay, so that you can understand on what we are actually going to do. So, in that game, you basically had a small team of commandos, of course. Now it was based in the World War II, of course. And then you had a small team, and you needed to do some missions. Okay, some sabotage missions, assassinations, and stuff like that. So the basic idea behind it is that it's of course a stealth game. Okay, and that you had to, of course, go and do some missions, to sabotage the enemies. So, as far as gameplay goes, the thing you need to keep in mind is that it's a stealth game, so that means a lot of enemy AI and some basic stuff with our commandos. Now, in that games, we had some we have some specific commandos that everybody had an ability. Now, we're not going to get to that much specific over there. We're going to see in this part the basic stuff for our players, and for our enemies we will see on a later part. We will see how to create enemy AI, patrols, behaviors, field of view, and all the other stuff that the Commando series had. So we will primarily based on our let's say the guys with the gray suits will be our units, and these guys over here will be the enemies that we're not going to do anything with them today. So what we are going to actually do is how to select somebody from our team, make him walk, double click, make him run. Okay, and move our camera around, and we can actually go over there and wherever we want. Okay, and if somebody's running, I select somebody else. Okay, he keeps his previous behavior, and I can also change stance. Okay, and he will move accordingly, change speeds, and all that cool stuff. So we will see some other stuff like aim and pretty much some more behaviors like throwing grenades or stuff like that. We will see. I'm going to think about what I'm going to add. We will see on a later video. Now let's get started. Now we're not going to have all the animations over here that we are going to need. Okay, so on some stuff we have to improvise. So let's see our player units. Our enemy units are pretty much exactly the same as our player units, but with different scripts that we're going to see on a later part. Our player unit. Okay. Player unit. Of course, animator, rigid body, capsule collider, numbers agent, and the two scripts we are going to add. Now you see that the perspective is changed over here. Okay. We see that my camera is under a camera holder that is near on the ground, doesn't matter right now, and inside the main camera is on orthographic. Okay, now the Commandos game had pretty much a render background, so it wasn't exactly this way, but since we can do it with 3D models, then why not? Okay, and because it had a pretty distinctive look, okay, and we do not have to paint it that much, and we don't want to paint it pretty much. If we close all the camera effects, you will see that it changes the look pretty much significantly, and it doesn't look that great. So let's turn that up all, and it looks pretty nice. So the other thing that we need to have in our scene is, of course, a game manager which is basically where everything that interacts with our player is basically is controlled by our game manager over here. And then on we also need a canvas, okay, which pretty much has two buttons. Okay, aim doesn't do anything right now. Stance will have checks if the player is standing or is kneeling or is crouching. So I have both of them inside an empty game object, because I want this to appear only when I have selected the unit. Otherwise, I do not want this to appear. Okay, it looks a little bit better. And I also have a cube over inside pretty much of my players. Okay, and when I select somebody, we have the cube. We enable and disable the cube so that we know that we have selected somebody. Let's see the animator. Now keep in mind that the model I have is not a humanoid, okay, because I want to reuse these animations. So I cannot use the IK stuff, but as you can see, you pretty much don't need it. But if you want to use the IK, you need to use humanoid model. So we have basic state for locomotion. Now this pretty much state is for the enemies, okay. Has an idle and has a relaxed walk, and that's pretty much how much it needs. Now locomotion cautious is when the enemies are going to be on alert, which is when they know where we are or they're searching us. Okay, now if they know where they are, they'll probably be firing at us, so they'll be at the aiming or at the fire. Now you will see over here that I have 3 blend trees. I have 1 blend tree and I have 2 more blend trees inside. So when I hit play, now we are on idle, but if I change the stance, you will see that I can blend pretty much easily between all states, okay, and I do not have to do anything else. So if now of course there's nothing that stops me to use the blend tree to create dynamic postures like this. Okay, now there are some problems with the fit, but if you enabled the foot IK from over here and you have humanoid characters, Unity will automatically place it over the grid over here, so it will be over the floor. So if this looks too extreme for a character, you can use it. You can clamp it between 0.8 or something else, okay, and it will actually look a lot better than, you know, sitting straight up. So like this, you can communicate different attitudes for your players. Okay, so and when I raise the forward, if it goes to 0.5, you will see that he will actually start moving, and when I change the stance, he will also change stances, and it's pretty much more dynamic, okay, and I prefer it a lot that way. Now on run, I do not want to crouch, of course, so I just raise the run, so I only have 1 animation. Now the change between normal and cautious is on alert equals true and alert equals false. So from a locomotion state, we actually want to go to the aiming. We also have to have the boolean of aim, okay, true, and when it's false, we return back. Now on aiming, I have the exact same logic behind it, okay, crouch, standing, crouch, aim, and you can blend between them, and of course based on stance. Now On fire, the exact same, more that only we have, you see that he is firing. Okay, pretty simple stuff and pretty nice model. So from any state we want to reload. Okay, so if the character is not dead, then we can reload. Okay, now I only have one reload animation, then that is when he's standing, so I'm going to just use that. Of course you'll be able to use whatever else animation you want and you have. Now of course you can do multiple layers, but I didn't want to complicate so much because there was really no reason. If you want to do it that way, I have a lot of other videos that I do it that way, so you can watch those. Then let's check. Let's start with our scripts. So game manager. The selected unit is the unit that we are actually selecting. Okay, the player team is what unit is on. Well, basically, if it's 0, that means the unit we selected is a player unit. Now, unit controls is the UI stuff, the UI game object that we enable and disable when we select a unit. Double click is because I want when I double click, basically I want my player to run. Okay, so the way we do that, we check when we make one click, and we have a timer that if the player hits the click again, of course in 2 seconds or 1 second, you can adjust that. That means he's double clicking, so make our character run. Over UI element is that if we don't check if we have our mouse over a UI element, then that will make us, when we click on a UI element, that will make the player change his position and move towards behind what it was under the UI element. Okay, so we need to make this check. Camera mover is for the camera movement, is the game object, the empty game object that is inside, that our camera is inside. Okay, camera speed, of course, how fast the camera will move. Start, we do not have anything right now. Now, on update, if we are over a UI element, as I said before, then we call the function that handles our selection. Now, if we have a unit, so if the selected unit is empty, we need this boolean. Okay, so if we need to turn this into a boolean, and we use it to enable or disable the unit controls. And here how we handle the camera movement. Let's say handle camera movement first, because it's way easier. Okay, so we have horizontal and vertical. Okay, WASD pretty much, and then we create a new vector 3 based on our 2 inputs, and we multiply that by camera speed. Now we do it by camera speed because we want to have a more smoother movement. Otherwise, 1 and 1 will be pretty fast. And of course, you might want to normalize this, but anyway. So, and then we take the camera movement position and we add to a new position. Now, on a later video, we will see how to move the camera by putting our mouse on the edges of our screen. Okay, so this will work for now. Next, we need to handle selection. We have pretty much when our player clicks. Okay, we do array from the main camera, and we take the mouse position, raycast hit, so that we have somewhere to check our hit. And if we hit something, we call a function that says check hit, and we pass the raycast hit. So the logic behind it, all of it, is under this function. So if the hit that we did, if we hit something that had the component of character stats, that means we hit a unit. Now we need to check, we store it because we're doing some checks. Now we check if the unit that we hit belongs to the player team. So if we basically clicked on a unit, if it does, then if we have not selected a unit previously, okay, so our selected unit equals null, then the new selected unit will be the hit stats, so the unit that we just hit. Okay, and then we go to his character stats and we say that he is selected. Else, so if we already have one selected unit, we deselect the previous one from his character stats, we add the new unit, and we say to the new unit, you are selected now. Okay. Now, if the unit we hit is not on the player's team, then we have to add the logic over here. Now, in Commandos, when this happened, pretty much the Commandos will go and either kill or punch the other guy, and he will be unconscious and stuff like that. Okay, so we will see some logic on it on a later video, some logic for this. Now, if we didn't hit a unit, so that means we hit something else. We need to check what is that something else. Now, since we do not pretty much have anything else, either we hit a unit or we hit where we want to go. So if we have a selected unit, we check if we have previously double clicked, then we say to our selected unit, to our character stats, that we want to run now. Okay, else if we haven't double clicked, we say that we have the first click, okay, double click equals true, and then we start a coroutine that is to close our double click. Okay, and then we say to the selected unit, we call a function, a public function that we have, okay, which is makes him move to a position, and we pass, of course, where we want to hit. Now, this is pretty basic, but we can expand it way more on later videos. Now, the coroutine that closes the double click. Okay, here return you, wait for seconds. I have it for 1 second. You can have it for whatever you like. Double click equals false. Okay, pretty simple. Now I have 3 public functions over here. Enter UI element. Now keep in mind that these are public. Enter UI element is, we call this function basically when we are over a UI element, and we call this function when our mouse goes out of a UI element. Okay, and change stance is what we call from the button of stance. Okay, and we go to selected unit and we say whatever, if you were running, turn it to false. Okay, so because pretty much if he wasn't standing, or even if he was running and he clicked the stance, that probably means that he didn't want to run anymore. Okay, so we turn run to false. And then we say change the crouch boolean of the selected unit to whatever the crouch wasn't, so from the opposite of the selected unit. Now these 3 functions are called by its button. Okay, so we go to our stance button. Okay, we drop the game manager from over here and we select the function that we want to call when the player clicks on that click. Now, but I want to add one more event, well, basically 2 events. So I need to add a new event type. Okay, pointer enter is when the player enters, when the mouse enters the collider of the button. Okay, pointer exit is when I exit the collider of the button. Okay, so you can copy this component and add it to pretty much to every button you have where you do not want your player to move based on where the button was. Okay, so pretty much every UI element you want to have, you need to add this. Now, of course, you can have, if you have the whole panel over here, you can just add that to the whole panel and have your buttons in there. Okay, simple stuff. There are a lot of ways to do that. So let's see our player units. We saw our game manager. Okay, make sure you understand the public functions and how the buttons work. So let's go to the scripts of our units. Character stats will be where we handle all states for our units. Okay, so if he's selected, if he's dead or everything, if he's crouching or running, we will handle it from over here. But we're not going to actually do a lot of logic inside this. Okay, so every script that we want to check, that we want to do stuff from, are going to be taking from this, are going to be checking with this script, the character stats. So player control. Now, even though I named it player control, we will pretty much use the same stuff with the enemies. Okay. So character stats are variables over here. Okay, health, you understand what health is. If our character is selected, if he's dead, the team, crouch, run, the select cube, which I said what it is, and the player control. Now the player control is going to reflect to the previous downwards, because we want to use this function, this public function, so that we do not want to get components from our game manager. We want to select stuff from this we don't want to do changes from a game manager to character stats. It's way simpler. Okay, get the component of player control, select cube, set active if selected. So if the selected is true, it enables the select cube, or else it will make it false. If run, close the crouch. Okay, so that even if a player is crouching, if the player double clicks, even if our unit is crouching, if the player double clicks, then he will run. And the public function we have over here is move to position, vector 3. We pass the position we want to pass, so it's the hit point. And then we say to our player control, move to position, and then the destination position will be the position we pass from the hit dot point. So on a later video where we are going to make the enemy AI, we will see, we will be coming here into this function, and we will say go to that position. Player controls. Now this is a big one. This is a bigger script, of course. Animator, numbers agent, character stats. The stopping distance, how close you will stop when going to a target. The public boolean, move to position, of course. The destination position. Now these do not basically need to be public, but let's just have them so that we can check that from the inspector what happens. Okay, if we're running, if we are crouched. Walk speed, run speed, crouch speed. Check your values and your animations, how do they look, and change accordingly. Maximum stance, minimum stance, target stance, stance. Okay, the actual stance. Maximum stance is because I do not want my players, because basically my units, the player units, I want them to start from the locomotion cautious state. Okay, so I have the alert enabled, and I want them to not be, and let's drop this. When they are crouching, I do not want them to go straight down because it doesn't look that well, but I want it to be a little bit like this. Now keep in mind this model and these animations are from the bootcamp demo of Unity, so you can download it from there. Okay, so I do not want him to go straight down. I want him to go somewhere like this, and when they are standing, I want it to go somewhere placed like this. Now, of course, this is completely optional. You might have different animations, better animations. Okay, so I have this over here, and I'll use this to learn between them. Okay, let's start. Animator, of course, get the components. Setup animator is what we do every time. Okay. We have explained this a lot. I'm basically just copy pasting from every project we pretty much have done in this channel. Okay. The stopping distance of the agent will be the stop distance we have over here minus 0.1. Okay, because if we have it at the exact same thing, at the exact same position, because these are floats, there will never going to be, there's no equality between floats, okay, or true equality. So, agent, and we want our agent to update the rotation so that we do not have to handle it by ourselves. So, on update, the run will be the character stats.run. If we are to move into position, we say to the agent set destination for the destination position. We need to check for the distance from our target. So distance to target vector3.distance from our transform position to the destination position. Now, if the distance target is lower or equals that stop distance, now equals is never going to be, but let's just add it for novelty. Then we need to say move to position equals false, and we need to actually close the run. Okay, so character stats run equals false. And after that, we need to handle outside of our move to position, we need to handle all our other states. So handle states character stats.run. If our character runs, okay, our target stance will be minimum stance. Else, if he is crouching, change it to the maximum stance, else to the minimum stance. This is for the animation, so you might not even want to do this, but I want. So stance will lerp between the previous stance, target stance, time.delta time multiplied by 3. Okay, and then we set to the animator set float stance to stance. Handle speed. We need to change. We can move with the agent the same speed we are running when we are crouching. Okay, so if we are not running and we are not crouching, then we have the walk speed. If we are crouching, we have the crouch speed. If we are running, we have the running speed. Okay, pretty simple. Handle animations. So we have the relative direction, which is we use the desired velocity of our agent, okay, and this gives us a position where we want to move. Now, the problem with that is that it's on a wall position, so what we need to do is to inverse transform it, so it will transform it from wall position to local position. Okay, so it's pretty much going to return it will pretty much return the z of our for our animation value. Okay, basically the forward value of the animator is the z of our desired velocity when we are converting it from world to local coordinates. Okay, I'm normalizing it over here. Okay, we take the z from our relative direction, we pass out the animation value. Now if we are not running, because the relative direction is going to move, it's going to give us positions between 0 and 1. Now because I have my running animation on 1, I do not want it to go when we are not running. I do not want to play the running animation. Okay, so I need to make a check. If we are not running, then clamp the animation value between 0 and 0.5. Okay, so if it's running, then this state will not run, so it will go as much as is needed, and then we pass the value to the animator. Okay, so animator set float forward and value, and we pass dump time.delta time, and this is pretty much how you do everything. Okay, this is it. Now I have the init ragdoll because I do not have because I do not have death animations, okay, since these are generic and I cannot use animations from somewhere else. Since these are generic, their animations will not do not retarget with other humanoids. Okay, so what I did is went to my soldier, and if you see that he actually has a ragdoll inside him, but I do not want the ragdoll to go to do whatever it wants. Okay, so the function that I'm actually not even calling. Anyway, let's go. I have it here or here. Yeah, so let's call it from over here. Okay, and this function, the only thing that it does is pretty much gets all the rigid bodies from the children, gets all the colliders from the children, and then we have for every rigid body we have, we turn it to kinematic, and for every collider we have, we also turn it to kinematic. Okay, so when they will die, when enemies will die, we're going to enable it. We're going to pretty much enable the ragdoll. So let's test it. Now, of course, all this stuff you can do it on a lot more different types of games. Even an RTS is going to be. You can use this even to an RTS. Okay, so you can work and do whatever you feel like wanting to do with them. Okay, so you can see that they're moving. If I can change the stance dynamically, and they move pretty smoothly. Now, this guy that pops in and out is pretty much because of the problem with the orthographic camera. Now you can't. I can't. Well, I think I can't at least. I can take my camera way back. Okay, and give it something like 500. This should probably end this. Fix that. And of course I'm also on free aspect. And all that thing that you see that moves right now is the ambient obscurance, the image effects. So bring it closer, because it didn't look that well. So anyway, so that is how this is the first part. Okay, on the next part we will see how to make the enemy AI, how they can patrol. If they see us, they will follow us and stuff like that. Okay, so stay tuned. If you like the video and want the series to continue, of course, you can subscribe, of course, like. And if you also want to support me by, to make more videos like this, because all this take time, of course, okay, and time is money, okay, you can support me either on patreon.com, where with $5 or more you can get access to a Google folder where we have all the scripts from every video we have on the channel. And the other way you can also support me is by going on Gumroad and buying, a complete project, where I have some complete projects from the channel, and you can buy them over here, over there. Okay, so they are pretty much set up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.